Hey all, welcome to My Way Mysteries, the channel that brings you interdimensional content, which means that the readings are from a broad and expanded point of view as they are channeled through vast dimensions of space and time, and therefore should resonate with you guys whenever you come across them. So this is the Solstice reading that I told you guys I was going to do. I wasn't sure what kind of energy is going to come through, but as I've been preparing for it, I realized the solstice is a portal. And I don't know if it's always a portal that represents what I'm going to talk about today, but this time, for those of you experiencing the solstice through this channel, this is what this portal represents. It's going to represent access to higher dimensions. And just to give a brief explanation of what I mean by higher dimensions, I know in New Age spirituality, they call it 5D. I'm not sure why they call it that. I'm not sure why they have numbers to the dimensions, if I'm going to be honest. Like 7 dimension, I'm not even going to lie. I don't know why there's numbers. But yeah, I know that it's called 5D. What I also know is that you're accessing the foundational state, like the foundational dimensions of the higher dimensions. Like from this dimension that you're entering, you will be able to access even higher dimensions from there. But this is where you build your foundation for accessing the higher dimensions and higher entities, also dimension, like entities that reside in even higher dimensions, right? So just to give you some perspective, in the lower dimensions you find that the emotions and thought patterns that govern there are more vele sadness, grief, fear is a big one, anger. That's how most of the emotions like run around, like in the lower dimensions, right? The lower dimensions are very much characterized by scarcity. It's very much competition based. It's very much tit for tat, it's very much transactional. What am I gonna do for you? Like if you do this for me, like type of thing, right? And it's very hard to manifest certain dreams in the lower dimensions because your dreams represent a higher frequency, but you cannot reach that because firstly, your emotions and your thought patterns keep you based in the lower dimensions. Like a lot of your dreams sometimes are even based on fear. And so what happens is that you actually keep manifesting the same outcome. You keep manifesting another circumstance that's going to make you scared, another circumstance that's going to make you sad, another circumstance that's going to make you angry or grief or something like that, right? You basically keep going in cycles within that like lower vibe type of thing. The lower dimensions is a place where you tend to blame other people for the things that happen within your life, even all the way up to God. Like you start being like, God is not there for me. It's a dimension where you most likely feel like things are not fair. That's the type of feeling you have towards your life. Like things are not fair. If things were fair, I would have better opportunities, blah, 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 things like that. And then you guys, this solstice is giving a lot of you access to the higher dimensions, transcending the lower dimensions and the characteristics that I just mentioned right now. This was done and will continue to be done through self-love. What I mean by self-love, self-awareness, self-understanding, and ultimately that translates to awareness of others and understanding of others. And yeah, the higher dimensions or this base that you're being allowed access to is what will later open up to even higher dimensions, which will be dimensions of unity, where it's not just a word, where you can actually live it out within your life. That's another characteristic of the lower dimensions: separation. You feel yourself as separate from the entities that walk with you, from your ancestors, from God, from the people around you, all that type of thing. From nature, from the universe. You sometimes even feel yourself as separate from your emotions. You feel as if your emotions take over you or take you over. You feel as if you have to control your thoughts because you feel as though you cannot control what you're thinking and you would like to, and you're just overrun by this feeling of, or this sense of overwhelmment type of thing. And a lot of you are transcending that, like I mentioned, through the solstice, whether it's the winter solstice or the summer solstice, depending on who you are. Depending on where you are. This solstice is acting as a portal and transporting you to a consciousness which is more expanded and which is higher in dimension. And what that actually means, the reason why, like, it's described as higher dimensions, is that you have more perspective. The reason why it's a more expanded consciousness is because you have more ways in which to look at anything, to look at everything. Your eyes become clearer, like your vision, let me put it like that. Your light, which is another word for vision, becomes more expanded. So you're able to, without so much of the fear and the sadness and the thinking, why me, you're able to look at things from a more broad perspective, which allows more understanding. It's no longer you're the victim and things are not fair. You gain a broader understanding of life and how you fit into it and how other people fit into it. And even if someone treated you a specific way, how that will later relate to you, how it was always about you. You're the main character in your story. It was never about, and some of you make your story like where, yeah, it's because again you have a limited idea of who you are, so you want to think of yourself as the hero and the other person is the villain. So therefore your story always revolves around two people in a very dualistic sort of way, where you're the good guy and they're the bad guy. But if you understand how you're the main character of your story, you embody the all. So in the higher dimensions, you begin to understand that even more deeply. And also, more powerful entities start to be attracted to you. They start to be attracted to your energy because you are widening your understanding. They don't have to sit there and explain things like, yes, this happened, but this is a part of the game. This will later open up this type of opportunity. They are, or rather, they are able to explain that and have you understand. They can now explain to you, don't worry about that. That was not for you, but it was meant to open up certain aspects of yourself to prepare you for that which is for you. So yeah, and okay, so one of the symptoms of every time you move through like a portal like this, especially from a lower place to a higher place, there's this fear threshold. It's kind of like a door that keeps away those who are not ready. So it amplifies the previous perspective, the previous life, the previous self. So some of you may find that you're going through a bit of, I guess, what I would describe as seasonal depression, where you're kind of being reminded of everything that makes you sad and everything everybody did, like to put you down or to stop you from achieving your dreams, or all the ways in which somebody didn't support you, or all the ways in which somebody used you and didn't love you properly and, took advantage of you, that kind of thing. You might be feeling that. And it's what makes people think, especially those of you who are going into winter, right? Those of us that are going into winter. It's the kind of thing that makes people think that, oh, winter is for death. Winter is really for you to shut down. And that's not what winter is for, y'all. Like, I'm just going to correct that for you now. Winter is not for that. Winter is to put away the part of you that you no longer need, the part of you that is no longer useful to the life that you're about to live. That's what winter's for. Winter is for you to quietly by yourself, before you introduce your new self to the world, which is spring and summer. In winter, you first get introduced to that new version of yourself, to yourself. You first get introduced. It's just you guys. Like, it's just you and you. You get to experience this newness of yourselves, and you get to kind of, how do I say, love it, just by yourself. When like you give birth, I don't know in other countries and stuff like that, or with other cultures, but like, in our culture, like when you give birth, like people can't just immediately come see your child. I don't give birth today and then tomorrow people come see my child. Like, no, only immediate family. Like, only immediate family. Otherwise, in some cultures, after 3 months, then people can come. Some cultures, like, yeah, give it a month, give it a whatever. But personally, like in my culture with my traditions, 3 months. Like 3 months, and then there's even a whole celebration after 3 months where people get called, like, okay, fine, you guys, like, the rest of the family that isn't immediate family. By immediate family, I mean the people that live in the house, and then together with the moms and the fathers of the people who are having the child. But outside of that, body cousins and whatever, no, you can, congratulations through text. And then after 3 months, there's a whole celebration to basically be like, okay, now everyone can come see the child. Now the child can be introduced to the rest of the family and blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, that 3 months is just for the child with its mom and dad, or just its mom, or whatever the situation, or its mom and its grandmother, like that immediate, that close circle. And that's basically what this is. Winter, this season, this 3 months is just you and your people that made it happen, that you were able to access these higher dimensions, that made it happen that you were able to access this more expanded way of living. So I explained to you what the lower dimension characteristics are. The characteristics of the higher dimensions is kind of like what I've been explaining in the last couple of readings. You're going to find that you're going to meet people that resonate with higher aspects of yourself. How you're gonna know that is because you're gonna aspire to be like them. And whereas in the lower dimensions, that would make you judge yourself and feel like, why am I not them? Which would lead to feelings of jealousy and envy. No, it's not gonna be like that anymore. Now you're gonna meet people and you're gonna be inspired. That's the difference. They're gonna make you, or give you the push, the motivation to do certain things that you've always wanted to do, but you didn't think you were capable. And this time, like I said, it's not going to be feelings of where you go put yourself down as to why are you not like this person, and then end up in a state of jealousy, which is like fear, and you see fear, hate, sadness, low vibration. But now in these dimensions, like I said, you're more inspired. You want to be that person's friend because you want them to teach you, to mentor you, or you want them to be, you want to be around them. Okay, you want to be around them. Fuck, you're in awe, and awe is beautiful because it has a sense of love in it. There's a sense of appreciation of, I'm so glad I met someone like you, type of thing. So you're going to be meeting people that are going to hold the frequency for you until you can completely hold it for yourself, until you can completely realize that, oh my God, I'm in a new place. I'm not who I was like before, Other things is that you no longer are blaming other people for whatever is happening in your life. Whatever happens, you always turn the vision back to yourself. You ask yourself questions like, what? Self-inquiry. Oh my God. Self-inquiry is a huge characteristic of the higher dimensions. So why am I feeling like this? Why does what that person said bother me? Why did I react like that? It's not blaming yourself. That's not what it is. It's not that you went from blaming them to blaming you. No, you went from blaming them to opening up the floor to more questions and inquiry about, if the inquiry doesn't just have to be about you, the inquiry can also be about them. Like, why would they react that way? Then you start to realize, oh, it's because they feel threatened, because what I said was actually true, and therefore blah 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 blah. Like, you start to have a broader perspective on events and circumstances in your life. It's not just blame me, hate myself, or blame the other person and hate them. Your emotions and your thought patterns move from fear, sadness, grief to exploration, which sometimes might feel like you feel indifferent to a lot of things, and you're no longer reactive. It's no longer, I'm afraid, so let me be desperate. It's no longer, I'm sad or I'm angry, so let me destroy. It's no longer, I'm afraid, so let me give of myself, type of thing. There's very much a waiting period now. You have the ability to be patient with yourself. It's, I'm sad, okay, let me sit in the sadness. And maybe it has some knowledge for me. It's okay, I'm angry, yes, because there's no need to deny the emotions. It's just that in the lower vibrations, you act out of the emotions. The emotions push you towards further lower vibrational shit. But here, the emotions help us navigate certain things in our lives. So now it's okay, I'm triggered. Let me sit in the being triggered. You remember I told you, swallow. Likshise. Like, okay, I'm sad, I'm angry, because okusalayo maseqedile ukusha, then it has something for you. It's kind of like a phoenix type of vibe, type of energy. Like, when that's done, then you find your piece of knowledge, like in the cooling down of the coal. Okay, let's get into the tarot. Yeah, it's a moment for change and self-discovery. It's also a very vulnerable moment. That's why it's important for you, like I said, in the Southern Hemisphere, if you're going into winter, it's not about isolating yourself, it's about being protective of your energy. That's what it is. Because you, like I said, are in this transition where you're in between worlds. You are putting to rest one version of yourself and giving birth to another version of yourself. And if you're not able to hold the space or protect this transition period properly, you'll find yourself in the old version of yourself when the next season comes, which is not what you want. You should also ask your ancestors to help you. You should ask them to hold a light for you so that you're able to transition as smoothly as possible. Because, like I said, there is a fear threshold where if you cannot raise your vibration enough, you can't obviously pass through. So and like I said, you can't trick the universe. That's not how it works. You don't even know the threshold is there. You don't even know what it looks like. It just happens. And please ask your ancestors if they can please guide you through the transition. Ask your guardian angel, your star being family, your orishas. Pray to God and ask that, can you please be guided through this transition? Because a lot of you can feel it. You were just not sure when was this coming about or how will it manifest, but you could very much feel it. For those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, you've obviously been through your winter. and your fall, and you have been through your spring also, now getting into summer. So I trust that you know what I'm talking about, and a lot of you are now coming into this new version of yourself, um into these new moments of these higher dimensions. And you I hope that you're enjoying yourself. I hope that you're enjoying your new self, and that, when people are like, oh my God, you've changed, be like, yeah, I have. Like, yeah. I hope you were able to hold that space during the transition periods. And if you find that you're in the northern hemisphere, but you are in the space that I was talking to with the people that are going through the winter solstice, that's also okay. That's the whole point of a northern and a southern hemisphere. It's holistic. So it's not a big deal if you find yourself still going through the vibrations or the energy of the people in the southern hemisphere. And maybe also it's a chance for you to repeat. Maybe you didn't transition properly when you were in your winter, and this is an opportunity for you to do it again, and maybe this time, do it right. Oh, this is cute. This is so cute. You've got the magician, and I don't know if you can see, but there's this little being here, like in his hand. He's like holding his hand like this, and like there's a being here, and like that's it. It's like your guides are showing you this new version of yourself, and it's like currently it's so small and it's so precious and it's so vulnerable, but it's protected and it's loved, and there's a need for this activation so that you understand what you're getting yourself into. So that, like I said, especially the people that do suffer from the seasonal depression, like, boo, you need to understand it's not happening right now. It was just the memories. It's the fear threshold. That's what that fear threshold is that I was talking about. Like, it's basically there so that vele, if you can't stay true to the higher vibes, then you don't get the access. And how that's done is obviously by triggering you, right? That's just how it is. Because if you're triggered and you fall back to your old self, then you still got lessons to learn. But if you're triggered and you're able to transcend the triggering, then darling, it's a whole new world. Welcome. So yeah, if you're remembering all those things that I said, like, people that hurt you and blah 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 blah, ilahle, ligwinye, lishise. Don't worry. It's not happening right now. It's not happening right now. And if you let it affect you, you're going to react off of something that's not even happening right now. It's just the memory of that. And that's okay. That's because also when you're passing into newer dimensions, there's kind of like a taking of stock of everything that happened in the other dimensions that you're coming from. Even if it's not from lower to higher dimensions, even from one dimension to another that are on the same level. Because you are passing through a portal, which means that which you used to be will be no longer. You are becoming a new... It makes sense to kind of recap everything that happened in this dimension, if only to remind you or to congratulate you and say, you've done so well, you've come so far. It's not to put you down. It's not really like a test, but if you're not grounded in who you're becoming, then it will feel like a test. Stay open to all the downloads that are coming through for you right now, because these downloads they're there to help you transcend. It's kind of like the feathers. These feathers is kind of like the feathers for you to create your wings. That's what you've been given right now. You're being given tools because this portal is opening, and it's like, here, take some feathers and sew yourself some wings, boo, so that you can fly up and go into this portal, into these higher dimensions. So stay open to, I'm getting Pleiadians. The Pleiadians are really guiding. If you don't know the Pleiadians, they're a star being group. It's a feminine star being group. It's an aspect of the mothers. They are really, this is actually what they do. They guide people that are transitioning from lower dimensions into higher dimensions. They're also there to welcome people and make sure that they calibrate successfully and that their bodies are able to deal with the changes that are happening, right? And then you've got the Three of Swords, and it's upside down, which tells me everything, boo. Like, let go. Let go of that low vibrational shit. It's over. And that doesn't mean your sadness is over, like you'll never be sad again. But the way in which the sadness used to come at you before, it's not gonna happen like that anymore. And that's because you're different. That's because you've elevated yourself. You used those lessons. You used this Three of Swords. You used the heartbreak in order to mold a new version of yourself. And that version of yourself is ready. All you have to do now is embody. That's all. And how do you do that? One of the ways, leave your old self behind. No matter how familiar it is, no matter how much you feel like, but this is the version of myself that I know, and what, you would be shocked at how much you're going to mourn the old version of you, even though it's not what you want and it was no longer serving you and it was basically a prison. That's what it was now. You are coming out of this prison and you'll be shocked at the urge to look back, at the urge to fight that person or to call that person up and cuss them out so that you can feel that darkness again, so that you can feel that anger again. You'd be shocked at how familiar you are with those shadows, and the thought of being without them makes you feel like you won't be able to do it. Oh, I see. Some of you may also be going through some kind of an imposter syndrome, feeling like something is going to want to convince you that this is not you. When you're calm, you're relaxed, someone is going to want to convince you, man, fuck all them people. Like, they just feel bad because they have to stay in what they are. And also, don't forget, you are the ones that are going through the portal. There's people that are not going through the portal, that are not even aware that there's a portal. And so they're staying in that version of coming into winter, where they're basically even in an even lower vibration than they normally are. So which means, they're going to start acting out. They're going to try and pull you down to their level because they can see that you're elevating. So, yeah, just be aware of that. Okay, that's what I have for you guys. Happy solstice. Yeah, if you enjoyed the reading, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to book a reading, all the information is in the description box. Later, guys.